Geekazine and Geek Smack is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network over at techpodcast.com. If it's tech, then it's here.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Geekish Schmackish, the Geeks. I don't know why I always say it that way. The Geekish Schmackish. Welcome to Geek Smack, the show where we smack the geek out of you like James Cameron can smack millions of miles deep into the ocean and go from there. We've got a great show for you today, and today we're going to be talking about SIM cards for your phone and why Apple wants that little itty-bitty card, and Nokia needs that little itty-bitty card. But first of all, we're brought to you by our friends over at GoToMeeting. Go over to gotomeeting.com. You can get yourself a 30-day free trial. Roku, stop dreaming, start streaming. If you go over to geekazine.com/Roku, you can get yourself an over-the-top television device. Over at Stitcher, if you go over to stitcher.com/geek, enter in your email, you could win yourself $100. And of course, everything that we're doing is over on Wirecast, all this video switching. Check it out over at geekazine.com/wirecastpc. And then, of course, LOL shirts. Get yourself some really cool t-shirts. I don't think this t-shirt came from them. Sorry. But anyway, there's a lot of great t-shirts over there over at LOL shirts. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get into your Geek Smack for this week. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to that show we call Geek Smack, where we smack the geek out of you. Smackety, smackety, smack. How you doing? My name is Jeffrey Powers, and it has been a long week. And first of all, I got to do this. I got to move this over, and we'll set that there. Just don't mind me. I just didn't do that. So anyway, we've got Geek Smack, and over at www.geekazine.com or thegeeksmack.com, you can get there, and that'll get you to this show. Subscribe to the show notes. If this is the first time that you've come to the show in audio or video format, thank you very, very much for coming to this show. We do this every single Tuesday for your Wednesday consumption, or maybe even Tuesday consumption, if you get it before I get it, and then we've all gotten it. Got it? Good. Anyway, we've got a lot of great stuff here. We're going to get into Tech Smack in a minute. First of all, I want to let you know what's going on over at Geekazine. iPad 365 is starting to explode. Thank you guys for going and checking out that Ford video. My goodness, you guys love the Mustang, don't you? We've also got a video for Taurus, and then I'm going back out in a couple weeks. So next week there's going to be a show, but the week after we're not going to have a show because I'm going to be out in San Francisco on another Ford drive. And if there is good bandwidth, I might just do a show. But the coolest thing about this is I am making plans to go to the Computer History Museum, which is great for the Day in Tech History over at dayintechhistory.com. And we might do some video, we might do some articles over at Day in Tech History. I'm really excited about that. So I'm going to be in San Francisco in 2 weeks for the whole week, so I'm going to try and make some meetings out of that and go from there. All right, just so you know, everything else that's happening here, we got the video going on Geekazine. I've made some changes to Geekazine, so hopefully it loads a little bit better. I found a plugin. A couple plugins. One, I've actually replaced a complete plugin in my website that has changed a lot of ways that the website worked. And then there was an old plugin. I found this plugin that it was great 2-3 years ago, but now it was so slowing down my system. I couldn't believe it. It would take like 30 seconds sometimes to load up the website, and a lot of people were complaining about it. So I went through all the plugins, and I found this one, and I noticed it hasn't been updated in 2 years. It really didn't. I wasn't really using it, so I decided to nix it. And all the other plugins that I don't use anymore. And all of a sudden, the website started speeding up, and it's still not to perfection, but I'm working on it. So anyway, quick thing here before we get into the show, and that is right here. Last week I didn't do it. This is my South by Southwest badge right here. Of course, I got 3 badges here. We've got the Fast Company, which I went to, my little Flipboard pin, which is one of my new favorite iPad apps, and then of course the South by Southwest Mashable VIP ticket that I had for to get into the Mashable thing at South by Southwest. So I'm going to put that in there, and I'm going to bring this back up. We are going to put it with my other badges. You might not need a stinking badge, but I've got all my badges, and they're right here. I'm going to just slip it right there. So now, oops. Okay, now we've added South by Southwest. I just noticed that none of my signs are on here. So anyway, we'll get into that in a second. But first of all, let's get into your tech smack for this week.
Tech smack.
And of course, our tech smack is brought to you by our friends over at GoToMeeting. Meet smarter with HD faces on GoToMeeting. Whether it's an iPad, whether it's a PC, whether it's a Mac, you should be able to meet smarter and meet with colleagues with HD face. Now look at that. That's an iPad, and it's got HD faces on it. Now you can't start a meeting on GoToMeeting through iPad. You got to start on either your Mac or your PC, which I just happen to have right here. But if you are, let's say, like last week, I actually did a meeting, and I was rendering video on my main PC, and I was rendering video on my laptop. I could have actually used this laptop, but it's like, you know, I want to be in the living room and do this meeting. So I sat down, put in my earphones, hooked up on the iPad, GoToMeeting on iPad, and I was there and I was working it, and it was beautiful. So it's a great program. You should try it yourself. Go over to GoToMeeting.com. See this little try it free now button? You click that. And that's going to bring you, well, you didn't see that, so let's bring that over. That's going to bring you over to this page, the Try It Free Now button. And right there, the promo code, you enter in podcast. And of course, that gives you not only 30 days of this great software, but it also helps Geekazine and Geek Smack keep the lights on and keep you getting shows going. So that's over at GoToMeeting.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, the first article for today comes from Tom's Hardware, and it's all about Microsoft. Microsoft has done the little feel-good thing. They put out a press release, and they said that with the collaboration of the financial services industry, they have successfully executed a coordinated global attack against some of the most harmful Zeus botnets out there. Now, a botnet is it's just a computer that's set up to try and find holes in security. Like, for instance, on this new plugin that I have, it actually shows me all the pages that botnets will go to. And then I've got to try and figure out if that's a security hole or not. And then these Zeus botnets will go in and try and get information. Sometimes a botnet can do it to a website and then insert malware into the website or hack the website completely. It can do it to a computer. It can find an open computer on an open port somewhere and then turn around and try and infect the computer. It does it in so many different ways. So Microsoft has done an actual raid, and in this raid, which were made possible through a successful pleading before the U.S. District Court of the Eastern District of New York. And so, because they want to make sure that they're not stealing information, and it's great, it's amazing, I love it. So if you want to check out more on that, go over to tomshardware.com, friends over there, and you can learn more about the botnets. That was pretty low light. That was weird. Yeah, all my lights are on. Interesting. All right, before we get to the next article, I forgot to talk about this. Let's check this out really quick. This came in the mail a couple days ago. This was iClip. This is actually an iPad board where it is set up for musicians. I'm going to talk about it on iPad 365, so I won't go into too much detail on it. So basically, you put my iPad's over there. So you basically put your iPad right there, and then of course it'll adjust up and it'll adjust down. It's a nice solid clip. They're saying it's for musicians. This one pops out, and of course if you've got the iRig, it's got the little clip for the iRig right there. So anyway, that's the iClip station so for your iPad, and I'm going to be talking about it in the next 24 on iPad 365, so you can check that out. All right, let's go into the next article here. Facebook is having a fight. Now, last year we talked about this. A guy by the name of Paul Siglia came up and, well, I guess while Mark Zuckerberg was eating at dinner, the lawyer came up and served him. And not served him food, but actually served him a lawsuit saying that Paul Siglia commissioned Mark Zuckerberg to work on a website in 2003, and he said that this actually entitles him to 50% of the company. Amazing stuff. And when we saw that back then, I thought to myself, and this, I think this is actually just as the social network came out, so that might have been more than a year ago. The whole point is that Paul Siglia is really trying to get 50% of Facebook, and Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook believe that that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So interesting what's going on there. They think it's a fraudulent case, but Paul Siglia says he has a signed contract. I don't know if they've seen that signed contract or been able to prove or disprove that that's actually a signed contract. But it is that's the basis that he's going on with this whole thing, is he's got this signed contract and he's going to go forward with it. So we're going to keep you abreast of the whole situation. Of course, if you want to check out more, go over to WSJ.com. Moving there, Google is running, and this is over on PC Mag. Google has started their Google Play to the navigation bar. So if you're on Plus, or actually if you search Google at all, you'll see up on the navigation bar, up on top, you'll see it says Play, and then it says New after that. You click on that, and that goes into play.google.com. It's their online store, so you can get their video, you can get TV shows, you can get songs, you can get games, you can get whatever apps are in the Chrome store, so on and so forth. So, and of course, Google's doing this major initiative to rebrand Google, and actually did that with a lot of people kind of mocking the idea. Oh yeah, why'd they name it Play? Why didn't they name it Google Store? After looking at it now and seeing how they have it designed, I'm kind of impressed. I like the idea that they didn't really put a moniker more than just Play to it, because that's what you're doing, is you're playing. You got downtime. You're going to watch a movie. You're going to play a game. You're going to watch a TV show. I don't know if they've got podcasts or anything on there. I got to see if that's part of that store, or and if that's the case, then I got to make sure that, of course, Geek Smack is in there. Usually that, with iTunes Store or Android stuff, not Android, but not Amazon, excuse me, that all that stuff is in there. So if you want to check out more on that, go over to PCMag.com. All right, going from there over to CBSNews.com. AT&T is set to sell Nokia Windows phones for $100. They said that the Lumia 900 is the first Nokia phone that runs Windows Phone software. It's going to be coming out on April 8th, and it'll have $100 with a 2-year contract. And they're hoping that this will put a new infusion into Nokia again. Because we all probably had a Nokia phone. I know I actually have a Nokia phone, my last Nokia phone, before I actually switched to my HTC. No, actually, I went from Nokia to a Razr. I went to Motorola Razr, then I went to the HTC 125, and then I went to my iPhone. So that Nokia phone is sitting downstairs. It used to be part of this backdrop. Maybe I'll bring it back up and put it back on the shelf here. I still have my 914, I think, my first Nokia, my first cell phone too. So I'll have to put that on the shelf. But anyway, if you want to read more on that, go over to cbsnews.com. Heading from there to Square. I don't know if you've heard of this company. There's a company called Square. And basically what it is, I don't have my iPhone on me either. Basically, it's a device that you pull out your iPhone, and this little dongle actually hooks into the headphone jack of the iPhone, and you can actually use it to swipe credit cards. In Madison, I don't see too many of that being used, but when I went down to Austin, Square was being used all the time, from their little rickshaw guys, what they called petabikes, to online outside stores. They could actually take a credit card and process that through the Square. Well, now some really cool stuff. They're doing some overhauling of their business, and because of course PayPal came out with their version of the technology to swipe the credit card. So Square has decided, well, we need to really work on that. So what they did was they overhauled the system and they actually put out their Android version of the application. So now if you have an Android device or an iOS device, you should be able to use Square and do your credit cards, especially for those of you who have iPad POS systems. I would guess that the PayPal or the Square will be a good part of that, an integral part of that. So you can check that out. We've got that article over at slashgear.com. I'm going to have to figure out why that's so dark and that's lighter. Anyway, of course, if you have any questions on this or any comments on the show, Twitter me right there at Geekazine, or you can email me, geekazine@gmail.com. Of course, the phone number is 608-205-4378 if you want to call and talk from there. Let's move on. Let's go over to bbc.co.uk. There's a program called Friends Reunited, and basically it came out in 2000. It was bought out 3 years ago, and then it was pretty much put on the shelf for a little while. Well, now it's back, and so Friends Reunited, for you, all you UK people out there, you can try and check it out from the US and see what happens there. But anyway, it's relaunched and out there, and you can check it out if you want to look at it a little bit more. Go over to bbc.co.uk. If you want another social network, there you go. Heading over to Engadget.com. There's a Japanese court that ordered Google to halt instant search because apparently what happened was some Japanese man had been searched on by his boss, and they came up with some sites that had illegal and unflattering behavior, as they called it, and it basically led to the guy's termination. So he came out and he basically said, hey, you can search on me, you can find this stuff. I might not even know it's out there, but now I'm getting fired because of this. This is not right. And I agree. We all make mistakes in our lives, and the internet is just one of those ways to kind of not forget the mistakes. Last week we talked about Microsoft getting into the initiative that Facebook is getting into, and that's basically building your life before there was internet, so you can actually have a host of pictures of your 5th grade picture and stuff like that. I've actually had photos come through Facebook of me from when I was a kid that I didn't even know were out there. My 5th grade photo, a class photo. I didn't get a copy of that, so, and if I did, it's pretty much gone. There was a couple of graduation pictures of other people that I was in, and then they're showing up on Facebook. So now you can actually build what you did years ago. Well, what happens if you did something that just was silly and stupid? I know there's one video of me that I did something silly and stupid. And if it did show up on the internet, I'd say, yeah, it was me. What can you do? That was years ago. Big deal. Everybody's got their little skeletons, big skeletons. They've got a closet, no matter what, and something that's going to embarrass them. So if you're going to go on what happened in the past, man, that's wrong. So yeah, the man should go to the websites and sue the websites for having those illegal activities up there. Yeah, they are illegal activities, but like I said, it was in the past. So anyway, if you want to read more on this, go over to Engadget.com. So basically what happened was in Japan, now certain restrictions on the search for Google.jp. And will that cross over to the United States? I think so. I think that Google should think about putting in an algorithm that if you find something or somebody finds something that comes into something you don't want to have on the internet, you should be, and you can't get the internet provider to take that down, then you should get Google to take the search off. That's just my opinion right there. So let me know what you think. Twitter me at Geekazine, and we'll go from there. All right, that's a big old ad, so we're going to close on that. We've got to go over to GoToBe Mobile. Siri is rumored to be getting native sports scores. So basically, you'll go up and you press the button. You'll say, Siri, what's the score of the Brewer game? Like I really care. What's the score of the Packers game? That's a lot better. And Siri will come in and say, the Packers are winning, and you'll go, sweet. But apparently they can't do that now, so they're working on that for Siri, and they're hoping to get that out very soon. There's a lot of things a lot of people wanted to have in Siri, but it's all about the servers And it's all about the bandwidth if you think about it. Every time you ask a question, you're wasting bandwidth. And if you've got a low priced bandwidth package, you might find overage charges on your phone. So, you don't want to have Siri do too much for you, or else it's going to cost you. Siri does come with a price tag, ladies and gentlemen. Got to be mobile for that article right there. All right, that is the end of the Tech Smack on Geek Smack. We're going to get you into the Geek Smack, but first of all, we got to talk about this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, stop dreaming, start streaming. Get yourself a Roku over-the-top television device. It's affordable, it's easy. Prices as low as $49. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I use Roku all the time. I hooked it up 2 years ago, and I fell in love with it. So many programs, so many applications. Games now with Angry Birds. I love the Pac-Man challenge because it's kind of like Pac-Man, but it's not Pac-Man. Galaga is like Galaga, and I love it. It's a great game. There's some new games that popped up. I haven't gotten them yet, so I'm going to check them out down the road. But you can get, Netflix, you can get Amazon, you can get Hulu Plus, you can get the Tech Podcast Network, and of course the Geek Smack, where you can watch that from there, all from the comfort of your couch. And that's the most important thing. Be relaxed, watch your videos, use it with Roku. Prices start at $49. $49 for the lowest version, but of course, if you want to get the Angry Birds, it's the $99 model. I know there's a couple places where you can actually get $10 off now, but if you go over to geekazine.com/Roku, you can get yourself one of these great systems starting at $49, and then use that code and then and go from there. So that's over at Roku.com. Go over to Geekazine.com/Roku. Of course, that helps Geekazine, and I thank you very much.
Geek Smack.
All right, let's move on. Let's get into your Geek Smack for today. We're going to start over at AlaskaDispatch.com. If you want to go to Alaska, find Alaska Dispatch. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's all about James Cameron. And yeah, you probably heard the story, but he basically did the deep dive. He's getting to the deepest spot in the ocean. And he's got this oversized submarine expedition, scientists say, that could help new opportunities for researchers. So basically, he's going to start a new reality show, James Cameron, Bottom of the Sea Gold Digger. It's going to be on Discovery. I don't know. Anyway, it's just having fun with that. But he basically went to the bottom. He returned to the surface at noon local time. It's 300 miles southwest of Guam. And he basically had 7 hours in a very small cockpit. It's basically, he was so small he could not extend his legs. So, and he did some deep sea 3-hour thing to get 3D video, so you can see it on the IMAX next week, or whatever it is. So anyway, that's over at AlaskanDispatch.com. You can check that out. Check this out. This is cool. These paintings right here. Let me switch over here. These are some of the paintings. You can't see the full one here, but they found these paintings. And I think this one was probably, let's just switch over to this one. This one probably got their attention the most because it looks a lot like a Van Gogh, but there was no markings on it. Well, apparently there's some new technology that they can do. They run on the painting to determine whether it would have been a Van Gogh. And yes, it said these are Van Gogh paintings. So the two of the paintings, one's called Still Life with meadow flowers and roses. And the other one was called, what was that? I can't see it right here. But basically, two half-naked wrestlers, Van Gogh's homework as a student in Belgium. So this was a student work. So this was early art. And of course, it doesn't have Van Gogh's signing on there. So these are brand new Van Goghs that are coming out. I'm assuming that they're going to be sought after really a lot. And the first one, the two wrestlers, it was it really kind of, it speaks to, at least to me, just as how he did that with the different squares. It kind of takes it out of frame a little bit. And it's pretty cool. And this is over at newscientist.com, so you can check that out there. All right, for all you resume writing geeks out there, there's a cool article on howstuffworks.com. 10 things you should leave off of your resume. Now, the first one they said it should be a picture. I don't agree with that 100%. I think you should actually have a small professional picture made that you put up on the top right-hand corner next to your name, next to your address. But keep in mind, when you have your picture there, you've got to be 100% professional. That means that you've got to have a tie on, you've got to have a suit on. When you go to the interview, you have that, maybe not that same tie and suit, but you got to look just as good as you do. Because once they see the picture, they can remember your face. Once they remember your face, they remember your interview. And when that happens, they could turn around and go, oh, okay, that I remember him doing this little tick thing with the back of his throat, and I didn't like that. And even though they don't say that out loud, they might be thinking of it subliminally, and you might not get the job for that. So that's why I like to put a little thumbnail picture on the top right-hand corner when I did my resumes. So I think you should too, but they say no picture, but there's other things that they suggest. Like, for instance, one of the other ones, I had to think here for a second. They talked about the photographs. Of course, don't go over to glamour shots and get your picture done. Physical attributes. Don't talk about that. Don't say, hey, I can't lift more than 50 pounds. Because then when they come back to you, get the interview, and then they can come back and say, well, can you lift 50 pounds or more? And you can say yes or no at that point. But at least you've gone through the process of the interview. At least they've seen what you can do. And I think that's a good one. Age is another one. They don't want, you don't want to kind of tell people, I'm going on 50 years old, and let them guess. Let them guess your age. If they think that you're 30 and that gets you the job, then do it. Another thing is marital status. Don't put it on. Don't say you're single. Don't say you're married. A lot of people have a lot of things about that that they get really concerned about. Oh yeah, he's going through a messy divorce right now. I don't think we should hire him. They're not supposed to do it, but it can happen. So anyway, this is over at howstuffworks.com. Of course, trying to prove that they did that would be almost impossible. So anyway, check that out. Another thing to check out is over at neatorama.com. You might have seen it if you're up on Google+. These are some great pictures of Star Wars items. This was drawn with one line, which means the artist put his pen on the page and started drawing it and did not lift his pen for anything until this drawing was done. So this is all one-line artwork. And he's got a few other ones there. I don't know if they have any. No, they didn't have any more. They just have this one. But you can check all of that out. This is over at neatorama.com. So yeah, check that out there. Let's go from here to PC Magazine. There's an infographic, why brands should use Pinterest. If you haven't been on Pinterest yet, it's a great social network website that uses more pictures than uses anything else. So you put your stuff onto a website, and it shows the picture rather than the article. And you can get really excited over pictures rather than articles. Like, for instance, on Geekazine, let me show you this. I'm going to switch over to Geekazine here really quick. On Geekazine, I actually wrote an article. Do I have it up here? No, I don't have it up here. Anyway, I wrote an article. It's basically an infographic on if Mad Men were social networks. So basically, if Don Draper was a social network, I think he would be Facebook. Bert Cooper was the BBSs. If that was a social network, yeah. So anyway, it goes through the plans. Peggy Olson, of course, was Pinterest in my book. So check it out. Let me know what you think. Twitter me at Geekazine. I'll have that link in the show notes, of course. So, all right, going over to geekygadgets.com. Check this out. There were these two guys, Eric and Charlie Cooper and Eric Rosales. They used 7 iPads for this video, and it was a magic show. Let's switch over here. It was a magic show where they used the iPads and they did different things. Now, I'm not going to show you the video because that always comes into legal issues. But basically what they did was, like, for instance, they showed a branch with some leaves on it. And Eric, I believe it was, shook the iPad, and all of a sudden leaves actually physically fell from the iPad, which was really cool. Charlie had another one where the iPad had snow on it or something like that. He blew on the iPad, and all this dust came off of the iPad. They used this 7 iPad tree, which would do some of their video work, and they did it pretty seamlessly. So check this out. This video is over at Geeky Gadgets. Of course, you can also find it over on YouTube, and if you need, once again, it's going to be in the show notes, so click on the show notes and go from there. And that does bring us to the end of the second part. We're going to get into part 3, and we're going to go from there. Once again, if you have any questions, Twitter me at Geekazine. Geekazine@gmail.com is my email address. 608-205-4378 is the phone number. We're going to get into the final part. We're going to talk about SIM cards, and we're going to do that right after this. You know, I do a lot of programs. I use Wirecast. And what a great program to have in your arsenal, especially if you create podcasts and videocasts. If you use Ustream and you use the Ustream producer, you're actually using a broken down version of Wirecast. It only goes to Ustream, of course. But you can actually switch between cameras. You can create multiple graphics. You can create lower thirds. You can add different audio sources. Like right now, I've just got the main audio sources. There's a microphone up here, goes to my mixer. The mixer goes into this machine right here. But I can actually put in a USB microphone, set it right here, and then change it all up. I've used this system. This laptop is recording this show right now. I've used a 2-camera system in different situations where I've had this computer, 2 cameras, and a microphone. And I've been able to talk back and forth, actually create shows by using this system. And it's just the size of this computer. This second computer I use as a display. So whenever you see a screen from the web, it's coming from this computer, and using a program called Desktop Presenter. And then just switches wirelessly from one computer to the next. It's a great program. I love it, and it's awesome to use, and of course it creates a lot of great video. So check it out yourself. Go over to geekazine.com/Wirecast PC if you've got a PC, Wirecast Mac if you've got a Mac, and learn how you can get yourself Telestream and Wirecast. Of course, when you click on it, it helps Geekazine. I thank you very, very much. So check it out. Produce your own live webcast. You can stream it, you can record it and push it up later, whatever you want to do. And that's over at telestream.net. Okay. Finally, let's just pull this up here really quick. I've got too many windows up right now. All right, finally. Apple wants your SIM card. It makes sense. Nokia wants it too. That makes sense. The real question is who's going to win on this. Now, you might basically know what a SIM card is. If you've got a mobile phone, you've got a SIM card. This is the little card that actually hooks into your phone and allows information to move from one phone to the next. Only problem was that when you upgraded your phone, chances are the SIM card was upgraded anyway. I know there were 2 phones that when I switched the iPhone especially, I had to get a brand new SIM card for it. I actually think in all the phones that I had, there was only one that I didn't have a SIM card. They didn't have SIM card technology in there. But there was only 2 phones. They were both Nokia phones, and I could actually switch the SIM card from one to the other. And that was it. Every other phone needed a new SIM card. Now, SIM stands for Subscriber Identity Module. It was first introduced in 1991 by Geschke and Devrient. I think that's how you pronounce that. It was a German company that provided security solutions to banknotes, smart cards, and a lot more. So you could have a router, and they'd create this little card that hooked up to help with the security. It's designed to keep your personal information just that, personal. Sometimes there was room to put on a few SMS messages and a couple phone numbers, and with the security level, it probably helped. And the best part is you could pop it out of one phone, put it into another phone, especially if you go through phones like Candy, and be able to get your contacts without having to re-input them. That was the most painful thing to do with some of the older cell phones out there. Now, the official name of the new SIM card is called 4FF-UICC, otherwise called a Nano SIM card. Both Apple and Nokia filed patent. I don't know if they filed patents, but they filed for the standard. Apple's standard basically looks like today's SIM card, which has the little, if you look at it, it's a little card about yay big, and it's got like a little metal thing in the middle. It looks like a circuit board. They've changed it just a little bit so it looks jagged on the edge, like a little serrated edge or something like that. You probably pull it out and use it as a survival knife or I don't know, whatever. But anyway, that's Apple's idea. Nokia has more of an SD card field, you know, your SD cards like you'd have in your camera or something like that, to their SIM, which I think a lot of people have been thinking that might cause some legal issues because of the design look. Now, why does this matter to you? Well, like I said, if you have a cell phone, you have a SIM card in said cell phone. If whoever gets this standard, they'll get actually a small amount of the price of the phone. So like, let's say you buy a $99 smartphone. Whoever has the standard in it, they'll get a penny or two or dollar. I don't know, whatever they set for the price for their SIM card. So if you want to put that technology in there, you got to pay for the standard. For Apple, this means just pocket change in all reality, at least right now in this point in life. For Nokia, this might mean keeping Nokia alive and not going into bankruptcy. That extra cash can then be reinfused in making Windows phones and, of course, other devices such as. So this is where the big hoo-ha comes in on here, is Apple could get this and get a little bit extra cash more. And of course, 10, 15 years, if Apple decides all of a sudden changes and then doesn't become as popular as it used to be, then they can fall back on the SIM card standard. But Nokia is trying to get out of going into bankruptcy right now. And so this SIM card design could actually vault them up so they can stay above water. So it's a real question of who's going to get it and when they get it. And of course, once again, if Nokia goes bankrupt, even if they go bankrupt and they set this as a standard, they get it already, and all of a sudden Nokia just goes belly up, that could change the game too. So a lot of different things to think about with this SIM card. And I know this is really technical, this is really geeky for some of you, and you're going, I don't really care about the SIM card too much, but you should. Because if you've got a phone 5 years down the road, will you be giving money for that phone to Apple, or are you giving money to Nokia? Where do you want to put your eggs in that basket? Now, I'm not saying that should be your deciding factor. I think the SIM card that works the best and is most useful should be the one that gets put into the phones, should be the standard. But I also think that sometimes standards should be then put into public domain and used globally without somebody having to get a royalty for them. A little bit of this, a little bit of that. I know you've probably got your opinions on them, and I want you to tell me your opinions by tweeting me over at Geekazine. Of course, geekazine@gmail.com is the email address, and then 608-205-4378 is the phone number. What do you think? What do you not think? What do you like? What do you don't like? Did you not like the fact that I actually had my billboards running because I forgot to plug them in? Silly me. Anyway, that does bring us to the end of the show. My name is Jeffrey Powers. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were fun-filled and entertained, and go from there. We do have a small survey. If you've watched my other show, iPad 365, I have a little survey up on the web that asks you what do you like, what don't you like about it. Please fill it out over at geekazine.com/survey. Of course, you can watch iPad 365 every single day right on geekazine.com. Day in Tech History is over at www.dayintechhistory.com. Audio version, Tech History Daily. That's what it is. And thanks to everybody who's been coming to the show, because that's been building numbers as well. And then, of course, Geek Smack and everything else over at www.geekazine.com. All right, that does it for us. My name is Jeffrey Powers. Thanks a lot for watching. You guys geek out, and we will see you here. Once again, next week we'll have a show. 2 weeks I'll be in San Fran. So next week we'll see you here over on Geek Smack. You guys take care.